Hi, my name is Chandler North, coming at you from Kenai, Alaska, and welcome to my blocking clinic. First thing with blocking starts with our base defense. So individually, to make sure we're ready, first, we need to check our spacing to the net, what I call guns out of holsters here, to make sure we're not too close. The importance of that is, it gives me the right angle to keep my hands in front of my face and space to avoid net violations. The second thing, we need to be low and athletic. This helps me be fast with that first step. My hands should be in front of my shoulders for my quick moves to start. So to check our spacing from the net here, we do the guns out of holsters. I need to be at least this far off because I know I will still be able to press over the net and I have space to operate. Now what about positioning as a team? First and foremost, our strategy needs to protect their highest efficiency and fastest attack out of the middle. Secondly, we want to protect the middle of our court. If they miss by a foot to the middle, it's still in bounds. If they miss by a foot down the line, it's out of bounds and a point for us. So how do we do that? First, our middle needs to start in the exact middle of the court. That way I can close to both pins as fast as possible. Secondly, I'm going to check my spacing to my peers. On this, with my left side attack, where the one ball and center target mainly is, I want to make sure I have some overlap to my fingertips. So if we both went up to block, you can reach in, we can close this off pretty easily. We don't need to always have to do it with our feet to leave no seam. Whereas the 31 or the gap ball here, it has a little bit more time in the air as the set. So that's a good time for me to work on the shuffle, and now Ari and I can close this off with the extra time from our feet. So our positioning again is putting our hands out to our peers. We want a slight gap on the 31 and a slight overlap here on the one ball. Our first blocking move is the shuffle, the beach block, or a two-step move. When is it good to use this? Well, it could be if we have time to defend a push, like a pass off the net, or how we defend and close gaps when teams are running in the 31. So here's what it looks like. I'm in my ready position, and 1, 2, go. 1, 2, and go. Okay? The key here is to make sure we're not floating as we go. So as we're getting help block from our peers, if I'm floating, it's going to be hard to block as a team. So the way we practice this in a drill is we'll line up all outside the court here. We'll go one by one. The coach can stand there and watch the form. And we're just shuffling across as you go. You want to make sure you're going straight up with no drift. So when it comes to the spacing of our hands, how wide should we be? How narrow should we be? What shape should our hands be? At the end of the day, it requires a strong hand. We call them bear paws here, making our fingers wide, fingers strong. From a spacing perspective, anything that's coming through the middle of us, a field goal, we want to slow down. So it's got to touch our fingertips and our thumbs here. So as I'm blocking, I need my spacing to be roughly the size of the diameter of the ball. One more thing here with the hands. As I'm going up from the middle of the court, I want my bear paws strong and flexed. When I'm in the exact center, I can angle both, and what you'll see naturally here as I rotate my thumbs up is it creates more of an angle that presses over the net. So like this, I can keep a straight line, a strong bear paw, and when I angle, it naturally goes down and further over the net. Now, as I move to a different slot across the net, straight up here, as I go more to this pin, I need to protect this sideline. And my thumb is going to angle up on the outside and be more neutral on the inside of the court. And conversely, at this side of the net, outside hand, the thumb has to be real aggressive to protect the out-of-bounds tool. One of the perks as a blocker for that two-step or beach movement is that it's really quick. You can close gaps being good all the way throughout. However, one of the downsides is it keeps you from being dynamic and reaching your peak or your furthest over the net. So how can we apply that on offense? Well, sometimes in grass, I might want to go run my route right on top of where a smaller or weaker blocker is, or maybe someone who's super springy and good at a 3-step approach. That takes away their ability to be dynamic and likely only be able to do the tap block, the beach block, the 2-step approach. So what about our hands makes us an effective blocker? First and foremost, I think it goes to what I call the go zone. To me, the go zone has 3 parts at its most basic principle. First is my eyes. They're giving me the information of everything that's happening. Secondly is my hands. They're the ones that's gonna get the block. And thirdly is the ball. So Ari, if you can be my hitter here, in its most basic form, I want my hands to my eyes to my hands to the ball, all in line to protect the middle of the court. To take this one step further, the advanced model is gonna be from ball to hand to eye to where they're hitting. Whether it be angle, I need to line up more in where they're going, or line the ball to the hand to my eyes to where they're going are all gonna be in the same line. That is the go zone. As a blocker, you need to maximize your time in the go zone. So to do that, as you're making your arm swing, the hands need to stay in front the whole time. They come from your shoulders or in front of your eyes over the net to where the ball is. And you hold it in the go zone as long as you can, like a baseball batter getting their bat through the zone the longest time. It gives you the biggest sweet spot to get blocks and take up space. All right, our second blocking move, the 3-step, the dynamic swing blocking approach. When you're hitting, what percentage of aggression are you taking with those last steps? Versus when you're blocking, what percentage are you taking with those last 2 steps? Ideally, it's the exact same. Otherwise, we're always chasing and behind in the matchup versus the hitter. So as I come here into base, I check my spacing from the net, check my spacing to my peers, I get low, ready to go, hands in front of shoulders, and I'm gonna make my moves to the pins. As a blocker, when I'm finishing this move, I did a good job, square my feet around, I'm angled straight back forward. When I'm in the air, there's a couple things we need to do to finish the block. First is to use my core. I'm gonna kick that outside leg just a bit forward, so when I land, my toes are back to the middle of the court. This core allows my arms to be strong when they're in the air. Secondly, my hands need to act on the ball. So as I'm up, my eyes are seeing my hands, they're seeing the ball. It's all information that I can read. From there, I can finish back to the middle of the court. So watch my finishing move. It starts with my core, it goes with my hands, and you can see it in the way that I land, able to face back into the court. My first step depends on where I'm at. If I'm the pin blocker setting pace, this first step should be quick. I don't have far to go. It's to pop my hips open and be dynamic. If I'm a middle and have a long ways to go, I need this step to cover some ground. And in order to do that, I need to start balanced and push off the opposite leg. So I'm gonna close this block to an opposite attack and watch these first 3 steps, okay? Cover ground, and before takeoff, I'm sure to get my toes squared back around and my hips squared back around. This prevents me from floating and keeps me in the go zone longer than when I'm windshield wiping across or having to recover when I'm in the air. So these last 2 steps, watch my feet square back around and my hands get in the go zone immediately as they're getting above the net. Base, 1, square back around, and they're in the go zone. So in order to get the best go zone, we need to know where that ball is being contacted. Remember, there's 3 parts. There's our eyes, the hands, and the ball. So in order to give us the best read of where the ball is being contacted, we use what's called ball setter, ball hitter. So I'm gonna watch the ball off the pass till it hits its peak. On its way down, the ball isn't telling me any more information. I know if it's roughly off or on. I know what routes are in play. Then I'm watching the setter's hands. Maybe they have a tell where I can anticipate and be that much more aggressive with getting to where I need to be as a blocker. After it's out of the hands, I'm watching the set till its peak. Maybe it's too tight. Maybe it's on our side and I gotta make a play. Or maybe it's off and I shouldn't block. After the peak, my eyes are going to the hitter's hands and arm swing. That will tell me, are they going that last little bit to the angle or down the line? And that's gonna help me line up my head with where they're gonna contact the ball. So my eyes and my hands can finish right in line in that go zone. So as I'm here watching the pass, it's ball, 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 setter, 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 ball, 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 and hitter, hitter, hitter.
Now let's watch a couple of examples here. You see a one option pass, and I could shuffle all the way over to where Austin's gonna be, but I leave some space so that my last two steps here can be just as explosive as his approach. So as he approaches at 100%, I go slightly after, approach at 100%, and then I can get strong enough over the net with that right paw to be all over where the ball is being contacted. Lining up my eyes exactly where it's gonna be contacted, getting my hands into the go zone. On the second one here, you see an example of the beach or the shuffle movement. And by working back into the court, I allow Landon to close this block. My right paw here gets the thumb up, angled back. Unfortunately, the read is just ever so slightly off, so I get field gold. But it does slow down, hitting both of my thumbs. An effective block in sixes. This third one here, I want to show how low I get. My eyes are beneath that bottom tape. I'm stable, ready to move in both directions. And then on this explosive swing move, I want you to see my finish. So I see it, and I finish back to 6 with the house block. Last example here from Pottstown. You can see me create space separating or shuffling the opposite direction. I recognize through ball setter, ball hitter that it's set real tight. It's likely a tip. And now my hands can react to that, reaching high to defend the tip.